I think watching the current moves that have been made and whatnot, I think what amazes me is this. So Tampa's made a move, Vancouver's made a move, and Dallas has made a move and makes them all look like sellers. Okay. Did any of them move a core guy? You could argue Vancouver moved a core guy in Burrows, but he hasn't been part of the top 6 core regularly for a couple years now. Jordy Ben's tie to the core is through his brother. And Brian Boyle's a very good glue guy. But have any of these 3 teams really lost a lot of talent? No. No. The thing that I find entertaining too is, and this is happening all over the internet right now, everybody's declaring winners and losers. It happens every July 1st too. I remember every July 1st that's taken place. Free agency, here's your winners and losers. Really? The ink's not even dry on those contracts yet there, boyos. Here's your winners and losers. And if a team doesn't make a move, they're a loser. And it's like, it is such a fun time to watch. It's so polarizing. Here's how I see it. The Leafs are in a playoff spot right now. And sure, they could be fodder in the first round. They could be out quick. Or maybe they can do something. But the thing is, you don't want to mortgage your future to do it. So they didn't. The second round draft pick in this year's draft is not as expensive as it would be another draft. This is not considered to be, and I said this weeks ago, draft picks are going to be just handed out. You get a draft pick, like it's like Oprah is in charge of the draft this year. Everybody can have a draft pick just by showing up. It's a starting point with what's going on right now. I think that's why when Burrows got moved, it was for an actual player. Odds are, Ottawa said, we'll give you a second for Burrows, and Benning said, no, we like this Dolan kid you've got. And Ottawa said, okay. Now, word has it that Ottawa players are very excited to have Burrows in the lineup. And certainly for Ottawa players, they should be excited, because this is a veteran guy coming in. Good player. And I liked what Benning said, that he said nobody had said a bad word about Burrows, the man. That's true. I never heard a bad word said about him. I said that in the video where I discussed the trade. So, with my fandom suit on, and this is it, anytime I talk about my hockey fandom, I throw this jersey on, because there's no jersey that speaks more about I am a fan of a team than the Flying V. Nobody in their right minds would wear a Flying V. Right? The funny thing about the trade deadline is every year people declare winners, losers. Free agency, winners, losers. Entry draft, winners, losers. And they're wrong. They're wrong. I remember Toronto fans being very, oh, we got David Clarkson, we win. Clarkson's awesome. He's a 30-goal scorer. I remember being one of the people saying he got 30 goals once, he's not going to get it again, and kind of being shouted down for it. I remember also with the Leafs, they picked up guys like XLB, and remember all the truculence guys? Remember they picked up guys like Komisarek? Burke's made us bigger, made us tougher. This is the year. Nope. But again, when you looked at the winners, losers, the winner was declared to be Toronto. They addressed what they needed. Over the next few days and over the last couple of days, trades have taken place, will take place, where we as hockey fans want to declare winners and losers. Notice I haven't done that. I think Burrows for Dahlin, I think that's a mutual win. I think the fact that Ottawa signed Burrows to a 2-year extension is fantastic for Ottawa. The Boyle trade for Tampa, that's a good trade for Tampa. They get back a future asset, and they get back a guy in Freeze who, can probably pitch in on the fourth line, and is a guy that can probably clear waivers if they send him down. It's not a bad thing. And the Dallas trade, I think that's a Montreal win, but Ben is, as I said, not a core guy. But again, we want to just winners and losers. Winners and losers. Who won? Who won? It's not like a game. It's like when people ask me to do a video about the 2016 entry draft or the 2015 or even the 2014 entry draft. I can't have an opinion on a draft where guys still haven't made a debut in the NHL, where guys are still developing, where that guy who may end up being a steal hasn't showed up yet. I can't make a video where I say, well, since 3 players have come up for this team from the 2015 entry draft, they win. Players making the NHL are seen as a sign of success, and it's part of it. But for me, it's more than that. It's like if you have a poor team and you draft early, you might have, say, 5 rookies debut. And maybe 2 of them are guys that may not be ready. And maybe you've got guys playing in the NHL who wouldn't play for another organization that was deeper. I don't consider just playing in the NHL to be a sign that they necessarily drafted well. It's part of the picture. To me, it's, do they play their role? Like, it's not just stars either. So I'm not going to go to the other end of the spectrum either. Like, oh, they have to be a star. If I'm going to qualify a guy, whether he's a success or a failure, you have to go by which round he's drafted in. I mean, if he's drafted in the 6th or 7th round and he makes the NHL at all, that's a success. If he's drafted in the 2nd, 3rd round and he plays 20, 30 games in the NHL and then he disappears, you have to ask why he disappeared, what happened, that kind of thing. And that's why I can't look at the 2016 draft and say, oh, winners, failures. Because, yeah, then I could just point at Puljujarvi and go, oh, Edmonton screwed up and we were all wrong. Puljujarvi's a bust. Maybe Columbus knew something we didn't know. But Puljujarvi 2 years from now could be fantastic. And it works the other way around. Yakupov, the first year in the NHL, he looked like a damn good young player for the Oilers. Where is he now? He is floundering with St. Louis. You cannot, with any degree of certainty, state that a trade over the last 48 hours is a flop. You won't be able to do it tomorrow or Wednesday, and yet lots of people are going to try. But you can't do it. Because there are lots of deals that get done that are under the radar. You go, When Pittsburgh got Nick Bonino, did anybody look at that and say, man, that Bonino for Brandon Sutter trade, that Bonino is going to play a key role in a Stanley Cup victory for the Pittsburgh Penguins? No. Nobody saw that coming. Much like when Brian Rust and Connor Sheary were playing with him. Nobody looked at that and said, oh, these guys, these kids, I tell you, that's Stanley Cup's coming to Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh fans may have felt that way. Pittsburgh fans are exempt because every single fan base for all 30 teams will at one point in time or another claim, we are going to win the Cup. We got the best team in the league, we're going to win the Cup. You get tunnel vision and you go, we're going to win the Cup. I've made that mistake with all 3 of my teams in the past. Whether it's Dallas, Boston, Vancouver, I've made that mistake with all 3. The year that Dallas won the Stanley Cup, I kind of knew they were going to. But I really thought they were going to repeat in 2000, and I thought they had a really good shot in 98 as well. For the Canucks, I mentioned last night, there were 2 different times where I felt like they were going to win the Stanley Cup. And for Boston, I remember the year they blew that 3-0 series lead on Philly. I thought that was their year. It was heartbreaking when they lost to Philly. And then the way they lost in Game 7 was just brutal. For Boston, and I went through that in 90 as well, 1990. I thought this is the year. They lost. The Oilers knocked them out in 87. This year they're going to do it. And then it just got worse. So that's the thing I'm trying to say here. And it's really easy to armchair quarterback this today. I think a lot of teams got stronger. And I think players get moved that we don't know how well they're going to play. Like, let's say Boyle gets to the Leafs. And let's say that Brian Boyle fits in really, really well and gels. Let's say him and Komarov just have this incredible chemistry together, just the two of them. Who cares who's on the other wing? You have Komarov and you have Boyle together. And that forms an Islanders-esque, let's just say Martin. Let's say Martin, Boyle, and Komarov. And those three just go out and just run people over. That line's scaring the hell out of the other team. I'm just using them as an example. Don't pencil that in. Or you got the wrong winger on the wrong side. I'm just using these three names as an example. A really solid fourth line can set the table for your team. Can make it easier for the rookies to get around the ice. Maybe Boyle doesn't have any chemistry at all with the fourth line. Maybe he plays a wing on the second line at some point. Babcock's like, I don't know, Boyle's not clicking. I'm just going to throw him on the wing. I'm going to let him play, I don't know, I'll throw him with Marner. I'll see what happens. And it's magic. You can't tell. When Burroughs moved up to the Sedin line, it was a desperation move by Vigneault because everybody was tried with the Sedins. Nobody could make it work for very long. They had tried so many players, whether it was Trent Klatt, whether it was Taylor Pyatt. Anson Carter worked fine for a year and then wanted too much money, so they let him go. And it was just, you couldn't find anybody who had that proper chemistry. And then Burroughs gets thrown there. After Burroughs had shown that he could play really, really well as a checking forward with Ryan Kessler. They had amazing chemistry together, those two. I thought Burroughs was going to go to the Ducks. We'll put it that way. But Burroughs and the Sedins, it clicked. And nobody saw it coming. So, I love this time of year. I love the comments. I love all this because I make a mental note of all the things that get said. And I go, all right, this is going to be fun. 6 months from now, maybe even 2 months from now. Let's say the Leafs make the playoffs. So let's just take a look at this from a logical standpoint. The Leafs make the playoffs. They get the last wild card spot. They get in there. They're against the Capitals. So game one, Washington's at home. They got the Leafs. Capitals fans are like, all right, we're home and cooled. We got Toronto in the first round. These guys have no experience. We're going to run them over. Game one, Austin Matthews comes out, scores 2 goals. Freddie Anderson stands on his head. They win the game 3-1. Empty netter scored by Brian Boyle, of all people. It starts to creep into your mind. For the Capitals, oh, not again. Oh, not again. And for the Leafs, the idea that they're good in the first round starts to creep in. And redemption for the last time they were in the playoffs starts to, maybe we can do this for the fans. Because these Leafs have a very good relationship with the fans. The Kessel-centered team, there were issues between them and the fans, but this team seems to have a really good chemistry with the fans. And that is major. So let's just say you go to that conclusion that Game 6, the Toronto Maple Leafs knock out the Washington Capitals in the first round. They pull off this incredible upset. Toronto's going nuts. The rest of Canada is shooting themselves in the head because they don't want to hear about Toronto Maple Leafs headlines for the next 6 months. If the Leafs win in that first round, even if they get swept in the second round, Boyle's already paid for himself. Lou Lamoriello's already getting a statue erected outside the building. If the Leafs show that kind of upward trajectory, and not only that, but let's say that happens, Brian Boyle's going to want to come back. Brian Boyle's the kind of guy who will say, you know what, I'm not big on the money. What do you guys think? What do you guys think I'm worth? Let's hash this thing out. And if his money comes down a little bit, based on his age, based on whatever reason you might have, maybe to fit everything under the cap, maybe he comes back. But what starts now because Lou Lamoriello was willing to give up a relatively high draft pick in a number 2 and second round, not a number 2 overall. They're not making that mistake again. It wasn't Lou that made that mistake in the first place. And Freese, who's a guy who can step in for Tampa if they need him. When I say throw in, I don't mean he's garbage. I don't mean that at all. There's no player in the NHL who's garbage. They're all quality NHL players. I just mean Byron Freese is not a guy that Tampa's going to target and say, oh, we need this kid. It's okay, we're going to give you Boyle. This one you have in the AHL can probably fill a similar role for us. How do you feel about giving up this Freese kid? And I'm sure Lamoriello said, that's fine. We've only played him 2 games this year, and he's not really in our long-term plans. That sounds good to me. Throw in a 4th rounder, we got a deal. That's likely how it happens. So, that's just my thoughts of the day. And I'd be interested to know what you guys think. To me, it's as entertaining as any other time of year. I'm really looking forward to the draft. I'm really looking forward to free agency now that this is a big channel, relatively big channel, and seeing how many people want to declare winners right away. Because to me, the winners right now are the fans. And kind of Ottawa. But Burrows could tank. Burrows could be terrible. Burrows could be absolutely horrible in an Ottawa jersey. He could score nothing. And then they're stuck with him for 2 years at $2.5 million per. And he's just an anchor dragging the whole team down. Or he could score really well, fit in on a scoring line out of nowhere, and help lead them to 2nd, 3rd round success. We just don't know. So anyways, that's it for me for now. I will be discussing tonight's hockey when tonight's hockey is done. New Jersey's currently leading Montreal 1-0 in a game that's been boring. It's been boring. I genuinely can't stay interested in it for longer than a couple of minutes. It's boring. But I'll try. As you can probably hear, the kids are killing each other, which is entertaining. Children killing each other makes it cheaper to care for children. If you have fewer children because they kill each other, it makes it easier to care for the rest of them. And the kids who really love you will be the ones that survive. The other ones, you weren't really attached in the first place. Alright, that's it from me for now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing your way through. We will be discussing this right through the trade deadline and beyond. And I've got my whiteboard over in the corner. I'm going to pull that out either tonight or tomorrow. There's all kinds of ideas I have now that I have the board I'm all excited about. But I'll get to that. I have to take this one step at a time. Because I can't get that board out and start screwing around with it and then go, oh, this is terrible. So I got to make sure I know what I'm doing at the time I do it. Thanks again, though, for watching, and I'll talk to you all again soon.